Gifford. All of you know I'm very emotional, generally speaking, so I'll try to sing this without crying, especially holding my daughter here. You want to sing? Okay, of course you do, you're my child. Okay, just a minute. So maybe we tell a short, funny story about Bob. It will help me relax a little bit. Okay, let me tell a story first, Kate, and then you can help me sing. I started doing shows with Bob when I was about 16 with the high school, and then we started doing things here, and there was about 8 years where if there was the Bob show, I was in it, which was an amazing experience for me. And I also worked in the costume department, which I do still today, for 9 years as the costume assistant. And my favorite thing every year was the week Bob would come back from his amazing trip. You want to go up there? Okay. So it doesn't matter if I mess up because you're all going to be watching her anyway. It's the perk of having a cute child. So my favorite thing every year was the week he'd come back from vacation, was running up the stairs as soon as I heard Bob's voice and sitting down and going through all of his pictures. And we'd get absolutely nothing done the whole week he was back from vacation, because we'd sit in the back office and he would tell stories and show pictures, and it was just an amazing time. And after these 7, 8 years of doing shows with him, I came upstairs to look at his pictures of one of his trips, and he said, "The most wonderful thing happened when I was on this trip. I met your doppelganger." I'm thinking, oh, you know, this man who knows me so well and has coached me so often, I was thinking it was going to be something marvelously flattering, you know, some stunning tour guide or something. And he said, yes, every morning, this person would come and pick me up with his bicycle and take me around town. I said, his bicycle? Ooh, well, that's not quite that. And he said, yes, he was a lovely 19-year-old Vietnamese boy. Not sure how I was supposed to take that, but knowing Bob, I think he meant it as some sort of compliment. So Jerry asked me to sing. You're going to sing with me? Okay. Yeah. Jerry asked me to sing Over the Rainbow. I did play Dorothy here in 1998 when we did The Wizard of Oz. Bob did not direct that show, Mary Scott did. But this is one of Bob's all-time favorite songs, so I'm going to try to do my best and not cry while I sing it. Do you want to go sit with me? Do you want to sing with me? Okay. We're going to sing. Ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Listen. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I?
Happy birthday, Bob! Hi. Some of you don't know me, some of you do. My name's Don Wilson. Hi, everybody. And I've spent the past few days trying to figure out what I could possibly say about Bob that you guys don't already know. And there's not much, I don't think. I started here at the Croswell as a summer intern, like many of you did. And it was 1997, and I came in, and I had an interview with Bob and Mary, who was here at the time, and Bob looked at me and he did this. And I thought, okay. And he says, if you see something, can you draw it? And I said, yeah. And he looked at Mary and he went. And Mary said, well, what do you think? And he said, well, yes, hire him. And that was the start of my career in theater. I was pretty aimless when I started that. And I don't think any of us would argue, regardless of our exposure to Bob, he's quite a teacher. And he's always teaching, whether he intends to or not. And you will always take something from working with Bob, no matter how often or how many times you work with him. And that has been a joy for me over the years, in the times that I work with Bob or the times that I just sit and talk with Bob. I always take something away from it that I didn't know before. Bob taught me everything I know about theater. He taught me everything at the core of scene design, from the napkins and the discussions. And teaching me phrases that even today, as I teach my students, and I work with people in my community in Grand Rapids, and they still have no idea what the hell I'm talking about because I use Bobisms. And so I have to explain myself. But it is a joy to know where those things come from. If you know Bob, you can't help but smile when you think about Bob. And he has been a joy to me, and he has taught me so much. I started working here as a summer intern, as I said, and the following summer I interned again. And those of you who know the design side of Bob, it takes a while. It's very difficult to earn Bob's trust, because Bob's done it for so long that he knows how it will work. And that was summer of '98, and I believe it was Greece that summer. And Bob said, can you sketch something to use for the backing for Johnny Casino? And I said, sure. So I did, and he looked at it, and he went, and he said, this will never stand up. And I said, sure it will. You just put the thing, and he's like, no, it will never stand up. And I said, okay, well, I can redraw it. And he said, there's no time to redraw it. I'll just go build it. Okay. So he went and built it, and it stood up. And he came to me and he went, it stood up. Which is about as close as you'll ever get to an apology from Bob. For the most part. My experiences with Bob have taught me many, many things. Two of my favorite stories, and I'll share them quickly. One is I was doing lighting design here for To Kill a Mockingbird, which John McNaughton was directing, actually, at the time. And, yeah. And for the courtroom scene, we had a black scrim come in, and there was a row of houses behind the scrim, so I lit the psych with some red, because it was the verdict scene. And during tech rehearsals, and Bob came in when the booth was back here, and he slammed that door open, and he said to me, he said, what are you doing with that damn blood red sky? Nobody understands symbolism. And as generally happens with Bob, if he has something strongly opinionated to say to you, that's all that was said. And the next time you saw Bob, it was as if nothing ever happened. Which is one of the magic things about Bob, is that Bob does not hold a grudge, because life is too short. My second favorite story. Well, this is kind of a double-sided thing. I worked here for a while, and then I went off to pursue other things, and then I came back. And I said, Bob, I'm so glad to be back here this summer. I'm really excited to be working on these shows and to be working alongside of you, and it's really great, and I've missed the art, and I'm glad to be back. And he said, well, you were a shit, but we were desperate. And my absolute favorite story about Bob is I came in one day to work, and I forget who the designer was on staff at that time, but Bob was here advising. Basically still running the joint, right? And the designer said, "Will you go with Bob to return this jukebox?" "Sure." Get in the car. "Bob, where do we have to go?" "Cleveland." Okay. So we drove to Cleveland, and I learned so many great things about Bob, like on the cover of the original album for West Side Story. I don't even remember the address, but it lists a street address because there's a sign and some numbers, and he goes, "I know the person who lives there." And I thought, how odd is that? So we dropped off the jukebox at the Playhouse, and this was shortly after the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame had been built. And Bob was always fascinated with architecture, and he said, "I just want to drive by it. I want to go see it." So I said, "Okay." So we went over by it, and he told us, "Well, let's just go in the lobby." Okay, so we went in the lobby. If any of you have been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, when you get in the lobby, there's an escalator that goes up to the actual museum. So I'm just following Bob, and Bob heads for the escalator. And I follow Bob to the escalator, and we get on the escalator, and here come these security guards, because we don't have tickets to get in. And Bob and I got thrown out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Bob taught me so many great things to cherish and to hold on to teach my students. No, the things that I've learned from Bob that I take most to heart are simple things like paint it black and the audience will never see it. And it serves them right for buying those seats. There's an element of that that's true. But in all sincerity, from my heart, I would not be who I am today without Bob Soler. And I think all of you can also say that, and that's why you're here. So happy birthday, Bob. We love you, we miss you, and we wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who are you?
My name's Nolan Hines. I'm here to audition for your next show. No, Bob, hello Bob. Bob didn't bring me to the Croswell, Betsy Lackey actually did. And she and I had worked together. She cast me as Rooster in Annie down at the Westgate Dinner Theater. And I got involved with her and her husband in some various, not like that. Allow me to finish my sentence. In some various theatrical adventures. But, am I red now? Okay, thank you. And Betsy cast me in Singing in the Rain here. So that was the first show I got to do here. And I came up here, started rehearsal, and met this very interesting gentleman who was the technical director and building the set. But as I got to know him over the course of that rehearsal period, I realized that I'd never worked with anybody quite so attuned to details and how things were going to work and what you were going to do and the time that he would spend in explaining things to me. At first I thought, okay, I got it. But then after a while I was like, okay, I need to hear all this. But he created for me the greatest set that I've ever gotten to work on, because I got to dance in the rain, and it was just like magic every night for me on stage. I know it created magic for the audience, but it was as much, if not more, magic for me to be able to come up here and dance in this amazing set that this man built. And I got to do 11 different shows here over the course of the time, and he was involved with each and every one of them. And a lot of time, most generally, he was involved with all the sets. And I'd worked at professional theaters before I got here, and I never worked with sets like Bob, thank you very much, Bob, built. So Bob actually directed me in a couple of shows, and he was on stage with me in one show, in Into the Woods, which was a magical experience from top to bottom. The entire cast is one of the favorite casts I've ever been worked with, and Bob, your old man, still sticks with me today. But the only story I have is just when one of the last shows I did here was My Fair Lady. And I was Henry Higgins. And there's a lot of words in that show. Henry says a lot. I had never really seen the show before I came here and did it. And I never really listened to it. And I just thought Eliza Doolittle has all these songs, so I don't have to worry about too much. Stupid me. But anyway, it's a long show. And Bob really didn't direct me very much. He blocked me, told me where he wanted me to go, but he didn't tell me much other than that. So I just kept going along and doing my thing. I was like, well, I guess he's okay with what I'm doing. He's not saying much. And then one of the only directions that he gave me was, it's a long show. Talk fast. I'll slow you down if I need to. Thank you, Bob. Well, I'm going to sing a little song. It's not one of the ones that they picked out, but it's just a song that, from me to Bob, and I think from each and every one of us to Bob, so it's called It Had to Be You. And if you know the words, please help me out. It had to be you. It had to be you. I wandered around. I finally found somebody who could make me be true, could make me be blue, even be glad just to be sad thinking of you. Some others I've seen might never be mean, might never be cross or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do, for nobody else gave me a thrill. With all your faults, oh, we love you still. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. Take it away, David.
Yeah. It's theater.
There's a lot of ink on that paper. Let's hear it for David Ray. Some others I've seen might never be mean, might never be cross or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. Oh, nobody else gave me a thrill. With all of your faults, Bob, oh, we love you still. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. Happy birthday, Bob.
Anybody got something to say? Anybody got something to say? Anybody? All right. Apparently I'm out of state. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll just sit right here. I'll play music while you...
I'm sorry, but I can't sing and I can't act. Although Mary did get me on stage one time. All I had to do was walk and point. This is great because I can't see anybody, so I think I'm talking to myself. There's been a lot of talent that I've seen. I hired in at Croswell in 1992. I was the secretary and then became administrative assistant. You know, the titles changed, but the job didn't. I still not only did letters, sold tickets, I cleaned, I helped on set, I painted and sewed and whatever needed to be done. Bob always taught me to, whatever it takes to put a show on, get together, we do it. Work for a common goal. So when I first met Bob, I thought, this man, I'm a little leery of him. But I learned through his education, his experiences, his talents, his everything, I learned a lot on the administrative side because I would not be in a show. He taught me like the licensing and the budget and things like that. I always admired Bob. I always looked up to him. And anytime, like the very first time I went to him for a question, I said, Bob, how do you, and he went, no! I looked at him and he says, now that I have your attention, let's talk. So that was, he taught me that, because then afterwards when people would come to me and I'd say, no, and they'd, well, now that I have your attention. One of the funny stories that I remember when I first hired him at the Croswell, Bob came running upstairs. Ken Sterling, I think you were working here at the time. Lisa Breitenbach. And there was Pam Van Sickle, and who could forget Jimmy Hilberger. Do you know he was desperate? Do you know he was desperate when he hired me? That's what he told me. But anyway, that's a different story. Bob come running upstairs. He goes, you gotta come down here. You gotta come down here. I mean, he was just like going nuts. I said, Bob, what's wrong? You said, come into the theater. Look, look. So we all come down here to the theater, and these lights here, these candlestick lights, were all just flickering on and off. Ken was back here on the light board, trying to figure out what was going wrong. Nothing was happening, but these lights were flickering. So then we all got, Bob, it's Governor Croswell. That ghost. But that was a funny story. It was right when I first started working here and learning about the ghosts that, haunted the place and everything. But Bob did teach me the administrative part of working at the Croswell. But I also saw a lot of his end products with, Michael Ewan, Nolan Hines, Tobin Ost, Matthew Lacey, Sean Wiley, and many more that he influenced and taught, and they went on to bigger and better things, thanks to Bob. And I have learned more by helping Joan Woodward out in archives every so often about the many things that he did, and still continues to this day. It's a great celebration, Bob. Happy birthday. We love you. What can I say? Thank you.
Been involved here for 41 years, and it's the first time I've been on stage. Bob did ask me to be in Harvey once.
Yeah.
But I was too smart for it.
Yeah. Were you going to play the rabbit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everybody, all of Bob's kids are here. But I was on the board that hired Bob. So we are about the same age. I was on the board for about 25 years, and I was 5 times the president. So I know about the hammers. It's a completely different aspect.
I understand.
And I know Bob from a much different way than you do. one of the years that I was president, he called me and said, "Come quick, I need you." And it was right after we built the addition on the old Birmingham building. And he said, I came in and the floor was covered with water and that new carpet. He said, "Get them up, we got to get this up. The president of the board and the director of the theater are mopping the floor." So that's the way we can act. But representing many years of boards and directors, the people who raised the money and did this theater for all of you actors, we thank Bob, $1 million talent that we paid $100 a month for.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Bob, and thank you.
Hi, my name's Virginia Atkinson. I'm Vicki Atkinson. And I first met Mr. Solar when I was a kid, and I was doing a show at, I was doing one of Julie's shows. I was doing Alice in Wonderland at Frankfurt Theater, and Mr. Solar came back to see us. He was this big, imposing figure with a long winter's coat, and he looked so serious, but I knew he was from the Croswell, so this was something really important, you know? And he just, from that moment on, and I met him, he would cast me in plays, and I couldn't sing. He'd cast me, and I couldn't sing. And it was funny, and I think it was almost as though my time at Siena had served almost as an audition, as he came to see me, and he knew what I could do. And in my time in New York City, seeing Perry Ojeda on Broadway in our town, on the town, and seeing Liz Richmond on Broadway and Annie, it was like everything had come full circle, you know, in the times of our dreams. And I've often said to myself that we're really lucky, we're really lucky to live in such a town like Adrian that has such professional theater and such a love of theater. And that's all I have to say.
Hey!
Happy birthday, Mr. Solar. We love you. Thank you for everything.
They're putting on the sweater.
That's why we're coming up here, actually, because
This is going to be great.
this was the only way we were going to get to wear one of Bob's sweaters. So we're doing it. So we're representing the under 25 crowd. No offense. We have a whole lot less interesting stories to share, but I think it's very clear, Bob, that you have affected so many people. You have certainly left your mark. And I think that's really why we're up here. Also to tell you that we're bringing you pie.
Pie.
Pie. Bob, we're bringing you pie, just so you know. I think I remember that your favorite strawberry rhubarb, but right now it's not rhubarb season, so you might have to settle for apple.
Oh, we have rhubarb. We have rhubarb.
You have rhubarb?
Oh, yeah, we have rhubarb.
Well, maybe we'll get you some rhubarb. Maybe not. But if you don't know, Katie and I are very accomplished bakers, and actually, we are. But really, we just wanted to thank you for generations of, you've affected generations. Without you, my son probably wouldn't eventually play Oliver. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Or Billy Elliot. That's actually what you said, Bob. You said, how about Billy Elliot? And I said, I'll get on that. We were worked on tap dancing today, so just so you know. And we got Katie on stage. Hello for Bob. That never happens. If any of you don't know, this is Katie Metz. She's usually...
Katie
And I dragged her on stage because, you know, I didn't drag her. She wanted to, but it's just rare. So, yeah. Thank you, Bob, and happy birthday. We love you, and we'll see you very soon.
I was 10 when I auditioned for my very first show, and it was The Wizard of Oz. And you cast me as a munchkin and a soldier. And when I was a munchkin, I had little round blue cheeks. And when I was a soldier, I had little round green cheeks, because it was the Emerald City. Yes, and that was part of the magic of theater. And from the moment I got to do that show, it was just like the world had become a brand new place, and it was so exciting, and there was so much magic to it. And I wanted to be as much a part of it as I could. And I started doing other things, and my parents got me into Sienna with Julie, and I did Alice in Wonderland with Vicky, and I got to be the fish footman. And that was very exciting because I had this gold hood that was all covered with, you know, goldfish scales, and it had a great big mouth. And when I looked at the pictures of it, you couldn't see my face in the mouth, you just saw my forehead in the mouth. But it was like, that's my forehead. That was it. And then it was high school, and I'm auditioning for Bye Bye Birdie, and you cast me as Kim. And it was my first real big role, and it was just beyond belief to be able to do that, and to be able to be working with you, and to be able to do our show on this stage with your sets, and it was just this incredible experience. And you know, we did a lot together, and you helped me to grow and to learn and to discover and to love theater. And I'm so grateful for that, Mr. Solar. I'm just at the bottom of my heart. I can't say thank you enough. And when I was older and I was living on my own, I had an apartment. And in my apartment, all I had was a little keyboard. And I missed my piano. And so it was late at night after rehearsal that you would let me stay in the theater so I could go into the pit and I could play the real piano and I could sing. And you would say, just lock her up when you're done. And I loved that because it really was like being home. And it was your home and you welcomed me into it. And I just felt so loved in those moments. And to get to be on stage with you then, that was freaky. To do Into the Woods, where you were actually on stage and you were in the cast, and it was this strange moment for me of going, I'm on stage with Mr. Solar now. You know, it was this beautiful, wonderful experience though. And Into the Woods was just a magical show, and I loved your mysterious man. And I just can't say thank you enough for letting me go into the woods with you. Happy birthday, Mr. Solar.
Anybody else? All right.
I don't know who elected me to this. Apparently I did. Robert, I know you're not well, so this is going to shock you. And take a deep breath, but I am now on the board of directors for the Croswell. Who would have thunk it? And although I have no official capacity here, I want you all to come up on stage because we are going to sing Happy Birthday to Robert Solar. Please, all of you, everybody who wants to, please gather around and blow. Come on, here we go. Everybody, come on.
God knows my singing Hurry up, we have wax on the cake. Somebody, Michael, pick a key. Oh, I'm not standing. Yeah, how about you?
Make sure you stop at the concession stand, get some cake, but then really we can sing, we can dance, we can talk, anything you want, as long as you want, because Bob, it's all for you.
Bob, I want to thank you so much. You were the first person, up till when you let me, gave me a part in Oliver. That's why I wore this shirt. You were the first person that cast me in a role. Up till then, I was just doing chorus. And you had the faith in me that I never had in myself. And thank you so much for doing that for me. You mean a lot to me. Happy, 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 happy birthday. We love you.
Happy birthday, Bob. It's because of you that I'm a magician.
Hi, Bob. Happy birthday. The only time I was ever on a stage crew was when you directed My Fair Lady, and I remember I got in trouble because you came to me and you said, "How is it that someone walked by a second floor window?" That was me. Sorry.
Just wanted to thank you, Bob. You were the person who cast me in my first real important part, let me say. You cast me as Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream, and I want to thank you for that. I'll never forget it. Thank you for all the rest as well. Happy birthday, Bob.
Hey, Bob, I'll never forget all the meals that you had at our house and all the parties that you attended at our house. And whenever you were going to be there, I always had to, like, double the recipe. Happy birthday, Bob.
Hey Bob, this is Donna Andre with Silver Foxy Hair. I don't think you ever saw me like this, but it happens. It took about 6 months. But I just wanted to say happy birthday, and I have a message from Carrie Andre. who was little Michael. And she just so wanted to be here and say happy birthday because you meant so much to her and so much to us. I love this place and all the time I got to be here and play with you on the stage in a good way.
Hey Bob, I'm also part of that 25 and under club for followers. People have been telling me I got tall since Peter Pan. Yeah, that was the first show I ever did with you, and it was the best show ever. It was so cool. The sets were amazing, and I always remember one thing you said to us was a few days before our first show. You said, "You guys are doing great," and I don't say that to many cats because whenever I do, I jinx it. And I will always remember that because that was the funniest thing. Happy birthday, Bob.
Happy birthday, Bob. I'm one of the few lucky ones that got to play when you conducted the pit. A lot of people don't realize what a good conductor you were. Thanks for everything.
Mr. Solar, happy birthday. Do you remember when we did 42nd Street and I got private lessons on how to remove a dressmaker's dummy from the stage while people were watching? I remember, and I always will. And I remember Three Penny Opera. Thank you for that. Happy birthday.
And now a word from the front of the house.
Yeah!
Happy birthday, Bob. When I came in here as administrative director, it was a time of some unsteadiness at the front of the house. Dennis was president of the board at the time, and it was the fourth administrative director that he had in a 2-year period, wasn't it? And so I said, well, I'll do what I can do. I certainly couldn't have done it without you, Bob. Knowing that you were in the back of the house and I was in the front of the house, and we could work together, and I think we worked together pretty well. I'm sure in the beginning when I first started here, you thought, oh my God, now what? But we did work together well. And the second summer when we were talking about what shows we were going to have, I said, I think we need a really good show this year. How about Singing in the Rain? And you looked at me and you said, do you know what it's going to take to put Singing in the Rain on that stage? And I said, you can do it, Bob. And he did, and you always did. Thank you for everything.
And Bob, I still remember the times that you and I met and we discussed things as to how things were going. I remember especially we had just finished doing a lot of renovation to the stage. We had a magnificent rainstorm that came through and ruined everything. And we had water soaking here and everywhere else. And how you just about pulled your hair out, whatever was left. And you were so concerned, and we had so many people in here working and trying to just keep the place together long enough to go through, get through a summer's productions. And we worked hard, we got it done, and again, it was you who led all of the people to pull together and keep this house together. Happy birthday.
Yeah!
Happy birthday, Bob Solar, from Bob and Muriel Bell. We're really proud to be your friends all these years. There's no one quite like Bob Solar. I think we have many memories together. 35 years it's been. And one of my fondest was the first 5 productions of Opera Lenawee. Thanks to you, they were gorgeous. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob. And I still inspect every seat when I come into Croswell, if you remember. You and I went around and inspected the seats 2, 3, 4 times till we got it right. Bob, happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Bob. I also was in the very first show I ever did on the Croswell stage, was directed by Bob Solar.
and it was Pajama Game. So I know. So that was just a couple years ago. So I was part of all that magic too. Thank you, and have a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob. Ann and Peter Pollan have a recollection from back in 1975 when we first became aware of you. We were casting people for the sesquicentennial, and we wondered who was going to speak for all these people who were being cast, and everyone would say, oh, don't worry about that, that's all taken care of. The Solers will do it. And we wondered, but we kept casting people and casting, and finally the show went on, and from sort of heavenward, up in the bandstand and the grandstand, came the voices of the Solers, speaking for all these people on stage at the sesquicentennial. And we just remember the aura of Bob's voice. As you well know, that's a magnificent voice. So we appreciate it, Bob, and happy birthday from us both.
Hi, Bob. I think I'm going to represent some of the pit players and the rehearsal accompanists and all those long hours of rehearsing and playing with him. The thing I remember the most about you, Bob, is that on afternoons when there was nobody here, you and I would sit at the piano over there, and we'd make recordings for all the cast members, but after we got done, you would haul out these scores that were just ungodly, and they were just huge. And he'd say, hey, you play the right hand and I'll play the left. And we did it, and it was so much fun, and that's what inspired me to be in this business and be in the theater business. And he would always frown at me too, because we do auditions for all these cast members, and if they came without a song, he'd look at me and say, well, just play Happy Birthday, and I'd say, you got the music? And he'd just give me this funny look, and he'd come play it himself. And here it's your birthday, Bob, and I still can't play Happy Birthday, so I'm glad Dave did it. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob. I think it was 1978. It was the man who came to dinner. And I have 30-some years of reasons and 100 different ways of saying thank you. But the three greatest thank yous, Bob, I can give you are from my daughter, Megan, my son, Brian, and my son, James, all of them intensely involved in the arts. And you put them on stage. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Bob. There are so many things I can think to say and don't know really where to begin, but thank you so much for casting Katie Adair and Hans Christian Andersen in 1988, because that started a long chain of Adairs being in shows at the Croswell. Thank you for a lot of fond memories, a lot of really fun summers, and it's all because of you. Happy birthday.
I don't recall what show it was, but we were in a show that you directed, and you were discussing the makeup of the audience and how a lot of the people coming would be coming to see certain people in the show. And you said that we all had our own peculiar following. I just really like that phrase.
I think you are great, Mr. Lundy in Brigadoon. That's one of my favorite shows. Happy birthday, Bob.
I debated about what I would say if I actually got myself up here to say something. The Croswell is the reason I'm here. I'm a native Toledoan, and I was called by Mary Scott to, and she had gotten my name from somebody down at the Toledo Rep as somebody who could sing tenor, and so they called me to do, if I wanted to try my hand at doing Blame It on the Movies. That was my first show here. But it was South Pacific that really brought me to Adrian. It was Bob who cast me in that show, and doing that show I got to meet a number of young men, Dan Drill, Brian Hissong, and Michael and Jason Ewan, and Jason Howland. And those young men in working with me on the stage found out that I had a degree in music education from University of Toledo, and they said, hey, there's an opening at Adrian High School. You should put your app in. You should apply for the job. And, you know, I thought that was kind of cool, and that they would even consider, like, you know, somebody they work with to be their teacher. And then after one of the shows, Julie Dolan came backstage and said, I hear you have a degree in music education. You should put in your application at Adrian High School. So if Bob had not cast me in South Pacific, I might not be standing here. I might not be in my 14th year at Adrian High School. I might not have done all the 14 plus shows I've done with the Croswell, and I might not have met my wife and had the family that I have. So thank you, Bob, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob. I've done over 100 shows with you here on the stage, and you love the theater, you love the building too. I mean, the number of times we've done stuff in this building, work on the building, other than the set, people would never know. But I don't, you know, I can't speak, so. Anyways, one thing I wanted to remind you of is our trip to Ann Arbor to get the big giant monkey. The truck was too small, and the hand was too big. We literally looked through the fingers of the hand to see through the windshield to drive down the road. Why we didn't get stopped or cause accidents, I don't know. We never did figure that out. Because people was pulling off the road and stopping and turning around and staring at us. We should have had a movie camera. I kept saying, we should have brought a camera. We should have brought a camera. Because the reaction of people, of us driving down the road with this giant monkey hand on my little S10, reaching over the front of the truck and was looking for the fingers to drive down the road. The cops even went by and stopped, pulled over and stopped, but they never pulled us over. I mean, that was really a funny trip. But really, Bob, he was more than a friend. He was more than a boss. He's become family. You got in my heart. Love you, man.
Bob, all I can say is what a fabulous journey all of us have had because of you. Thanks.
Jerry's going to come up here in a minute and put the cap on this. Before we go, we're just going to record audio at this point. So everybody, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, thank you, Bob. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Bob!
I don't know how to do this. I can do that though. So Bob, certainly there are not words to say that can really express, I think, what so many of us here have in our hearts. Because really, we love you so much. And this building, you know, threatened so many times, gonna close, it's not gonna work. You know, somehow you were able to do it all. And by do it all, I mean literally do it all. Even when you were told not to, right? But how special. What a legacy. These people really truly do, the, I don't know, 130 or 40 or 50 who are here tonight are just a small portion of the people who have sent messages, sent cards, notices to us. So we're forwarding all of that to you, of course. But the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that you made happen, you know, my first show was when you cast me in I Remember Mama, which to you was significant because it was the show that sold 999 tickets.
Not 1,000, but 999. But for me, it was my time to meet you. And when I first felt like I was your favorite, and that the connection I had with you was totally unique, no one else knew you, loved you, just connected with you the way I do. And yet, we all are like that. And how special, what a wonderful gift you have in making us all feel that way. So it's a privilege and an honor to walk in your shoes, feel you in this building every day. The greatest gift I've ever been given. So I thank you for that. And I thank everyone here tonight. What an awesome, awesome group of people from every walk of life who do every different kind of thing in their day and with their families, but they carry you with them, obviously. We love you. Happy birthday. We'll see you soon. Good night.